He knew that I was the biggest Jim Carrey fan in the world. Now, I'm not gonna go all into it, but Jim Carrey is talented in a way that you can't practice or rehearse. What a God-given talent. I was fascinated with him. And Norm knew that. And he called me up and he goes, Dave, he says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes, I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon. I didn't know any of this. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late, great Andy Kaufman. Yes, and Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life as Andy Kaufman. I didn't know that. When they said cut, this nigga was still Andy Kaufman. So much so that everybody on the crew called him Andy. I didn't know any of that. I just went there to meet him, and when he walked into the room where we were supposed to meet, I screamed, Jim Carrey! And everyone said, no! Call him Andy. And I didn't understand. And then he came over and he was acting weird. I didn't know he was acting like Andy Kaufman. Just like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hello. Andy? Now, in hindsight, how fucking lucky am I that I got to see one of the greatest artists of my time immersed in one of his most challenging processes ever. Very lucky to have seen that. But as it was happening, I was very disappointed. Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this nigga was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel. Here we go.
In this unforgettable story, Chappelle recalls meeting Jim Carrey during the filming of Man on the Moon. Carrey was so deeply committed to playing comedian Andy Kaufman that he refused to break character, leaving Chappelle feeling like he was meeting someone completely different from the Jim Carrey he admired. What started as excitement quickly turned into disappointment, as Chappelle spent the day interacting with Kaufman rather than Carrey. This experience serves as a metaphor for Chappelle's take on gender identity. Much like how he expected to meet Jim Carrey but got Andy Kaufman instead, Chappelle uses this moment to highlight the confusion some people feel when reality doesn't match their expectations. It's not about dismissing anyone's identity, but about grappling with the complexity of how people present themselves versus how they are perceived. And just like in that room with Carrey as Kaufman, things aren't always what they seem. This sets the stage for Chappelle's next dive into his perspective on the so-called alphabet crowd, where he's about to turn up the heat even more.
But you see, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger. It's too late now. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's. People be surprised. I have friends, all kinds of letters. Everybody loves me and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my fucking guts. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these things. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop. You know, you hear all those letters together all the time, LBGT, LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together. And my guess is
Chappelle dives headfirst into his observations about the LGBTQ+ community, humorously referring to them as the alphabet people. He reveals a crucial lesson learned in show business. There's an unwritten rule that states you can joke about nearly anything. But when it comes to this community, the boundaries are rigid and fiercely protected. He refers to the distinct identities within the community, those L's, B's, G's, and T's, acknowledging that while they often travel together, each letter represents its own unique struggle and movement. Chappelle's humor shines as he navigates this complex landscape, offering a candid reflection on his relationships with friends across the spectrum, all while playfully acknowledging the tensions that exist. Despite his affection for those with different identities, he notes that the T's often take offense at his jokes, a fact he attributes to his inability to resist making them. It's a quintessentially Chappelle moment, where he tackles today's cultural boundaries with both wit and insight. And if you thought his commentary on the alphabet crowd was daring, just wait. Next, he shifts gears to explore the concept of equality in sports, where the discussion takes an even bolder turn.
when I watch sports, I be thinking about, think about, okay, say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or, because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game? What does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean? Like, if women are actually equal to men, then there would be no WNBA, would there? You would just be good enough to play in the NBA with us. Or, here's another idea that's gonna be very controversial. You could shut the fuck up.
In this bold segment, Chappelle playfully imagines what would happen if LeBron James changed his gender. He provocatively questions whether he would remain in the NBA or be relegated to the WNBA, where his scoring prowess could lead to unrealistically high points. This isn't just a comedic scenario. It's a thought-provoking critique of what equality truly means. Are we ready to overlook biological differences in pursuit of fairness? Or does that lead to more confusion in sports and beyond? Chappelle isn't afraid to tackle these challenging ideas head-on, sparking discussions that many might shy away from. And just when you think he's finished, he dives into another contentious topic, Caitlyn Jenner being named Woman of the Year, questioning the implications of such a title in the broader conversation about gender and identity.
Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person, Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every bitch in Detroit, she's better than all of you. Never even had a period, ain't that something? Oh, I'd be mad as shit if I was a woman. I'd be mad if I was me. If I was in a BET Awards sitting there and they're like, and the winner for Nigger of the Year, Eminem, my man.
Chappelle highlights the irony of Caitlyn Jenner being awarded Woman of the Year in her very first year as a woman, humorously suggesting that she somehow outperformed all the women who have spent their entire lives striving for such recognition. His remarks raise the question of whether the experiences of women who have faced societal challenges their whole lives are being overshadowed by a narrative that shifts to accommodate new identities. It's a sharp yet humorous critique of how society often rewrites its rules, sometimes leading to feelings of exclusion among those who have historically fought for recognition. But hold on. Chappelle's insights don't stop here. He's ready to dive deeper into the intricate issues of race and identity, where his comedic lens continues to challenge our perceptions.
It's like that white black bitch that's in the news all the time. Rachel Dolezal. She always says that. She's a white woman, but then she dressed up like a nigga and shot her way up to the very top of blackness. And I always wanted to meet her just so I could understand. I just wanted to like have dinner with her so I could just look in her eyes and call her a nigger to her face. The fuck is that bitch talking about? I identify black. That is trans talk, ladies. Stop biting. Stop biting. There's a big difference between her and a trans. The difference between her and a trans is I believe transgenders. I don't understand them either, but I know they mean what they say. Them niggas cut their dicks off. That's all the proof I need. I've never seen somebody just throw their dick away. Don't need it.
Chappelle shifts gears to discuss Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who gained notoriety for claiming a black identity. He expresses his bewilderment at her situation, contrasting it sharply with that of transgender individuals. While both identities may be challenging for him to understand, he emphasizes that he believes transgender people because of the significant sacrifices they often make to live authentically. Evidence, he argues, in their drastic choices. It's a provocative commentary on the complexities of identity, blurring the lines between race and gender. Chappelle isn't one to shy away from bold statements, using humor to navigate these sensitive topics while challenging societal norms and perceptions. As we continue, let's see how he further unpacks these intricate issues with his characteristic wit and candor.
I feel bad for teas, but they're so confusing. And it's not all my fault. I feel like they need to take some responsibility for my jokes. Because I didn't come up with this idea on my own. This idea that a person can be born in the wrong body. But they have to admit, that's a fucking hilarious predicament. It's really fucking funny. If it happened to me, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? That wouldn't be funny if it happened to me? I think it would be. What if it did? What if I was Chinese, but born in this nigger body? That's not funny. And for the rest of my life, I had to go around making that face. Hey everybody, I'm Chinese. And everyone get mad. Stop making that face. That's offensive. What? This is how I feel inside.
In this segment, Chappelle deftly navigates the complexities of identity with his trademark humor. He reflects on the idea of being born in the wrong body, transforming a sensitive subject into a thought-provoking and hilarious thought experiment. What if he were born into a body that didn't match his identity? Specifically, what if he were Chinese but lived as a black man? He vividly imagines the absurdity of having to present an identity that conflicts with his reality, using this hypothetical scenario to highlight the often convoluted nature of identity itself. This moment is quintessential Chappelle. He's not just making jokes, he's prompting us to consider the ridiculousness of certain societal norms and expectations. His willingness to confront uncomfortable truths through laughter sets him apart in the world of comedy. By pushing the boundaries of what's deemed acceptable, Chappelle challenges us to critically engage with the intersections of identity, race, and gender. Ultimately, he reminds us that comedy is meant to provoke thought, and he does so in a way that invites us to laugh, even when the subject matter strikes a nerve. So what do you think? Can humor effectively tackle the complexities of identity? Or does it risk trivializing important conversations? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights and discussions on these provocative topics.